Well, it would seem as though the Lauri Markkanen sweepstakes are coming to a close very soon, in my personal opinion at least. Hello there, it's your boy Wraith Hoops. If you're new to the channel, go and smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. I cover a lot of NBA teams, a lot of NBA content, and the focus of today is going to be what recent news dropped about the boy and what the possible implications could be of the news dropping that, maybe things aren't as easily advertised as we originally believed. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this one. Lauri Markkanen, as we know, is an all-star caliber player. Even though I felt personally he got snubbed last year, he still put up a very good sample size of numbers, shooting almost 50, 40, 90 splits, averaging over 20 points, giving you over 7 rebounds. The only thing that he really needed to up is going to be his individual creationist abilities. But at the same time, who are we to criticize? Because there are other people on other teams that are incapable of doing anything close to what he does, particularly with him being at the height of 7 foot. That's just a skill set that's a very hot commodity from a stretch forward standpoint. That said, the Warriors, the Spurs, the Kings, all sorts of teams were interested in the Lauri Markkanen sweepstakes and the potential of either trading for him before his contract extension this offseason so they could have him on a 1-year deal and end up re-signing him on their own, or trading for him at the deadline after he ends up re-signing with the Utah Jazz inevitably at this point and becomes available at that point on February 6th, which will be 6 months from his contract having potentially being signed for the first time on this August 6th, so that they don't lose out on their trade assets. But instead, things have gotten a little bit interesting, depending on how you look at it. And by interesting, I mean Danny Ainge upped the score, said what the price is, and guys are not having it. Me personally, I'm not even having it. And the way I look at it, this doesn't even seem like a reasonable trade at this point. It just seems like robbery. Now, Lauri Markkanen, don't get it twisted. I'm very fond of his game. I think he's a phenomenal player, and I would love for the Utah Jazz to keep him. And I think that Danny Ainge essentially deciding that this is going to be the trade proposal that ends up making or breaking the deal is the thing that's going to end up keeping him here. Now, the news that dropped said that the Golden State Warriors are offering Moses Moody multiple first-round picks, multiple pick swaps, and multiple second-round picks to the Utah Jazz in exchange for Lauri Markkanen. Now, this was reported by Shams, so it's official. Shams has been losing the battle against Woj recently, but, he's fighting back, I guess. Now, the issue isn't that trade, Obviously, I do think that Lauri is worth multiple first-round picks, as well as a young, promising player or a rotation piece at the very least, considering the fact that Mikal Bridges went for darn near the whole treasure trove, going from Brooklyn right across the bridge to the New York Knicks. However, Utah didn't accept that. They didn't think that was worthy of their glorious king. Instead, Danny Ainge in that front office said, you know what? We'll do you one better. Utah wanted Moody, Jonathan Kuminga, Brandon Podziemski, along with picks. Now, for those that don't watch Warriors basketball, that's everybody that's young and good on that team. Obviously, you have Curry. Obviously, you still have Andrew Wiggins, depending on how much stock you still put into him. And you still have the likes of Draymond Green. But none of those guys are probably going to end up going anywhere. And if I'm the Utah Jazz, I don't want Andrew Wiggins. He's been regressing ever since that finals run where they finally got that chip and Curry got his MVP. I just don't put too much stock into it. So the fact that you said, give me everybody else and picks, is where I'm like, okay, Danny's bugging. But he has the right to do that, right? Because he holds all the cards and teams want Lauri. There is no pressing need to trade him. You can still lose with Lauri on the roster. I feel like people just think that there's some mysterious thing keeping Lauri from being left on the Utah Jazz, as if we can't still be a bottom 5, bottom 3 team in the league with him on the team. Newsflash, buddy, we tanked with him playing games and with him missing games for mystery injuries that I don't think he was actually hurt for. I think it was just like, oh, his ankle's slightly tweaked still. It's hindering his performance. He missed 2 more shots in practice. Let's hold him out today. And so that's how the cookie ended up crumbling. But nevertheless, I don't put too much stock into the fact that we should have traded him in the first place. I understood that it was something that had to be entertained. If you have this star player on your team, you'd be foolish not to. And understanding Danny Ainge's brain, of course, why wouldn't he try and shop him around? Now, he's not going to sit there and fire sale him and say, up to the highest bidder, go ahead. Because there's no force, there's no necessity in him being traded. Now, Is it a possibility? Yes. The possibility was suggested to be almost 10% at one point, but it's still a chance. And that's what made teams keep putting in offers and trying to see just, hey, is there a way we can work something out? Is there something a little bit more, something a little less, something in particular that you want? But this trade right here is just ludicrous. This makes no sense. If you're the Golden State Warriors, there's absolutely no reason for you to even consider taking that deal, because why would I throw away the entirety of my future to the point where once Curry retires, we have a couple years left of Markkanen and Andrew Wiggins? That's nothing. That's nothing. And no disrespect to the young pieces that they have on the roster outside of these three lovely gentlemen, but there's just nothing really there to hold water. So I understand, but this effectively just told us that the Lauri Markkanen sweepstakes are over. Yes, there is a potential for something crazy to happen. He gets traded before then, but the Warriors were really the only team that wanted to trade for him before he ends up signing his extension, because they felt as though they're going to be able to convince him to re-sign with them. And so it wouldn't be a 1-year rental. It would be a 1-year prove it situation. Hey man, I know you like playing with the GOAT Curry. You know, he's the greatest shooter of all time. You're one of the biggest shooting big men, one of the greatest in the game right now. Let's ink this deal and play some more years. They didn't feel the need to do that. I wouldn't feel the need to do that, especially at this particular cost. Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga, and Brandon Podziemski. That just doesn't make sense. If you're the Golden State Warriors, if you're the Utah Jazz and that trade actually ended up happening, I wouldn't even be mad at that point. Like, yes, I would love to keep Lauri, but if the Warriors were goofy enough to accept this trade right here, oh, I'd be over the moon about it. I'd be like, gotta take that. That you'd be dumb not to at that point. It's a fire sale of players that will have bright futures and have the ability to, at very minimum, be 3 solid bench role player type pieces that will play minutes on contending teams at some point in their career. So I think that it would be foolish to sit here and say that, you know, this is a reasonable trade for Lauri Markkanen, despite how hot his talents make him in the trade market. But I just wanted to go ahead and clear the air a little bit, because I know I did record a previous video that went up the day before this, and this news actually came out the same day that I had recorded the video to go up. So what ended up happening was I just wasn't able to include this in that video. So it kind of changed the way that I thought about things. I had to just sit down and really consider what this information actually means, listen to a couple other people that are in the space, and it's come down to this. The Lauri Markkanen sweepstakes, in my mind, are over. It's done. There's nothing else to be said, because the Spurs, do they have a treasure trove of things that they could end up trading? Yes. But are you going to send Vassell, Sohan, plus a third young star player-ish type person? They're not going to send Stephon Castle. Shout out to him. I wanted Stephon Castle so bad, but they're definitely not going to send him. You're going to send Sohan, Vassell, and hecka draft picks? I don't think they're willing to do that. Not impossible, but I just don't think it's very likely. So take it with a grain of salt. What are you guys' thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. I'm always interested to hear where your brains are at. You always seem to have a little bit more insight to help me just kind of rethink how things go. But if you're into NBA basketball, or you're a Utah Jazz fan, or you just love Lauri Markkanen and just trying to keep up with the news, go and smash that like button, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and become a member of the channel to help support the content. As always, it's your boy Wraith Hoops. Good morning, good evening, and good night, no matter where you're on the globe watching. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.